Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me on day 7 of 365 days day 7 into this journey of 365 days of going through the entire Bible. Today, the topics that are discussed in day 7, and I kind of shared the link to the 1 Year Bible if people wanted to go along, as well as join the group. I think I still have a few spots left. Is Genesis 16, 17, Genesis 18, 1 through 15, and then Matthew 6, Psalms 7, 1 through 17, and Proverbs. So we'll just get started and go right into Genesis 16, which is the birth of Ishmael. And for those of you who may not be familiar with it, the birth of Ishmael, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of what caused the rift in religion between two of the major religions of the world. And Ishmael was born to I think she was born to a. Hold on, let me make sure I get this right. I don't want to screw this up. So Sarai, before she had her name shortened to Sarah, was Abraham's wife before Abraham had his name changed from Abram, and so they had an Egyptian servant named Hagar, and that servant is who I think gave birth to Ishmael. And so, obviously back then things were a little different than they are now. Maybe some people are doing that, but it's a little different. It's not a surrogate mother. It was literally the DNA of the Egyptian slave who became pregnant with Abram, and because Sarai couldn't have a baby, and it turns out that I guess that union, so to speak, resulted in the birth of Ishmael, and Abram was 86 years old. Now, keep in mind, Abram, when Abram's referred to as Abram versus Abraham, it seems as though that's before he strikes a deal or a covenant with God, and it sounds as though he strikes that covenant at the age of 99. So, right there, if you think about it, it's Ishmael is the son of someone who strikes a deal or a covenant with God before he strikes the deal. There's probably going to be a little bit of resentment there. And so I'm not exactly sure, just, if this is in fact the case. I'm just telling you my interpretation when I'm reading this. And so I think that, that would definitely help explain a lot of the tension that we see in the world today, like if you take it literal. And so James, in the comments here, is saying, Bobby, do you believe in the Bible more of an allegory or an actual historical representation? And, I do. It's kind of interesting. I started reading this book, The Case for Christ, just from the standpoint. First of all, I have zero doubt in my mind that Christ was the Son of God and the only Son of God. Okay, like we're all children of God, but we're kind of like, we're not like, when I say we're all children of God, like there's Jesus, who's like God's son, like literally in here in the flesh among us, walking around for a little while. And then there's us, who are made in the image of our Father and our Son, and obviously, and Holy Spirit. So I know some Christians don't believe that. I happen to be Roman Catholic, and I do believe that those three are threaded. So the Spirit kind of flows between each generation. So anyways, that's a different conversation. But to answer your question, James, I do believe that we as people like to explain what we're experiencing with existing events, like current events, as well as historical events. Look, I'm explaining things that the way I interpret what I'm reading in the Bible by doing the same thing. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around what I think I'm reading in the context of a larger data set or experience set, or however you want to say it, of insights that I've picked up along my life. And, and it's sometimes it's very difficult to, to draw the distinction, because, it's kind of like asking a fish to describe water. you know, the fish is going to have a heck of a time describing water, but the fish lives in water, and they just know that it's part of their environment, and so uh, that's the way I kind of think of this. Is do I believe that this series of events was attempted to be recorded as it actually happened by people that lived through it? Yes. Might there be some recording errors, kind of like witnesses in a court case? Yes. Do I know which ones are which? No, I do not. And so that's the way I kind of look at this. I think the intent was good. The Bible is a collection of oral histories that were passed down. If you think about it, it's as you tell a story in your own family, or events from, just like remembering holidays from 5 years ago. If you ever discuss a holiday, that there's a little bit of a disagreement as to who was there, what meal you ate. So unless you really, wrote it all out in real time or recorded it with a video camera, which I guess nowadays there are some people that do that, it's very difficult to be 100% sure. The one thing I am 100% sure on is God exists, period. I can sense it. I can feel it. So, from that standpoint, I have zero doubt that God exists. The other thing I do believe is that Jesus is the Messiah, or, he was the Messiah, and he was the Son of God, and that they're part of the same core energy, if you want to call it that way. You got to remember, some of this is also some of these stories where it happened in the physical world, the way we are as humans. Some of it also is told to us in the form of stories that we can relate to, living this human experience in flesh. So even though we're spirits first and we flow into a human body, we understand things a little bit better through imagery and words that we experience in our everyday life. And that's the brilliance of how the Bible was written, and that would be the brilliance of how God would send that message to us, so to speak, so that we can understand something that, God has no essential form, right? God is all energy, all omnipotent, all being, all knowing. And so it's hard to wrap your mind around that. So, but if you can construct it with different images and different things that we witness and experience in everyday life, I think it makes it a little more easier to digest, from a mental perspective and a spiritual perspective. And so, the other question is, how do you feel about organized religion? Do you feel Christ would approve? I think that, I've had this conversation with my son. Organized religion is just like organized government. It's a necessary thing, I guess, for some people, and maybe a majority of people, to kind of create that continuity and that structure that people crave. But it can be abused, and it has most definitely been abused all the time at some level since its inception. Power. What do they say? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's like we're living through that very much so right now. We see the abuses of power by our government. We see the abuses of power by religion. Being Roman Catholic, I don't like the fact at all that the Pope gets money from us Americans that are Roman Catholic, and then meanwhile the Catholic Church doesn't pay any taxes. I think that's bogus. If you have enough money to send to the Pope, then you have enough money to pay some of the freight charges in your community as well, because the people in that community pay the property taxes, the church doesn't, and I think it's not cool, man. and then they accumulate more land because they don't have to pay any taxes. So they have an unfair advantage over others in the community as well, and they accumulate all this property for their own status versus for the status of God, and they should be putting God first, as far as I'm concerned. We talked about that a little yesterday with Joel Osteen, which I happen to think that I do agree with Dennis Prager that when you use God's name in vain, I do happen to believe that he uses God's name in vain. I don't believe he's genuine. That's just my personal opinion. Anybody who believes he is genuine, I'm not asking you to change your view. All I'm saying is I don't believe he's genuine. For me, he's not genuine to me. And that's, I speak my mind, and that's the beauty of a free system and a free society. If we want free speech, we have to be able to listen to another side, another point of view, and maybe say, "Hey, Bobby, I think he's a great guy. Why do you feel so strongly?" That's the way conversations used to be about 25 years ago. I remember them when I was growing up, with teachers and professors. We used to disagree about stuff all the time, and then we'd still just talk about it. And then we'd walk away, and somebody might change their mind one time, and other times they wouldn't change their mind, and you just move on. But that's just the way it is. Okay, so Abram gets named. This is in Genesis 17. Abram is named Abraham, which we talked about. He'll confirm this covenant with Abraham, and from there, he's going to just have countless generations, as far as the eye can see, especially with regards to, I think, as many descendants as the stars in the sky. And so he ended up being able to have more children when Sarai had her name changed to Sarah, even though he was 100. So my dad was old when he had me. He was 49. So I can only imagine, that Abraham at 100, was having a newborn. It's pretty interesting. I have a new son on the way. Like, he's already alive. He's just buying time in my wife's stomach. Kind of incubating there, but he's got his own spirit and his own heartbeat, and he's self-sustaining from the standpoint that he has all the functions to live as a human being, and just wants a little more time to be on the slightly more relaxed game plan. Nice, cushy, warm, not having to deal with all this crap that we have to deal with. He doesn't know what's in store. But that being said, that spirit has made the trip here, is waiting for liftoff. Okay, so anyway, so both Abraham, and it's funny. It's one of our top names that we're considering. It has nothing to do with the story in the Bible. I love the name Isaac just because of the founder of calculus and the founder of physics. So he invented physics and they needed calculus to explain physics, which is super cool in my mind. And so, anyways, but it's cool that they have they share that same name. For Abraham's son Isaac. But once again, that's assuming that's the name. It hasn't been officially decided. We'll see. We got to see what the baby looks like, because the name has to match what the child looks like. I do believe that. So call me superstitious. Okay, Genesis 18. So the Lord appeared to Abraham in the oak grove belonging to Marni. So then I'm just going here, and where's your wife Sarah? She's in the tent. So this is the deal with regards to what I said, him having more children with Sarah, even though she was 86 years old, because with God, anything is possible. So there is no limit when you set the rules for the universe. So if we're in God's universe, God's not in our universe. I know some people think, some human beings are imagining that this God exists, and I chuckle, and it's like, far from it. I think you have an inflated self of yourself if you think that you can come up with the creativity to think through the creation of God, and that it's a figment of your imagination, everybody else's. I think anybody who has any sort of connection with their spirituality and their faith and praise, um, you can just feel it. And the best way I would describe it for me, and in people that kind of argue against religion and such, is you say, look, I want you to think about the following. Especially people that have been in love, right? Or have been very angry and broke off in a friendship or relationship with somebody. How do you put it all into words? How do you, that feeling that you have when you fall in love, or when you have love for your child, you just know, you intrinsically know how you feel and how it moves through your entire being. And it's not just your flesh. You can feel it move everything. And I know there'll be some atheists, they'll say, well, that's your nervous system reacting to chemicals and everything else. But let me explain something. Some higher being, God, spirit, like higher power, designed all that. It wasn't evolution, man. Evolution, if anything, was nothing more than a set of, maybe it was like a computer script that God ran on some different things to maybe trick us a little bit, not trick us, but test our faith. So who's to say that kind of threw that into the environment to see if there'd be some of us that would kind of run with that and think that that evolution is what explains God's existence versus God explaining evolution's existence. And so, God does have a sense of humor. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case. All right. So now we're into Matthew 6. And so what's cool about Matthew 6 is don't do good deeds publicly to be admired by others. And it's funny because I'm reading this, and I kind of said this early on when I started doing these Bible talks and reading the rosary. And if you notice on anything religious, I specifically block any ads or banners on it from YouTube. YouTube tries to put some stuff on my other videos, and I'm like, fine. But when it comes to discussing the Bible and discussing anything with regards to prayers, I don't want any commercialization of it, and I'm not interested. And I want to keep it that way. Because I think that when we're talking about our spirituality, that's the closest we're kind of getting to the essence of who we are as beings, and we should try to keep it as pure as possible when we're thinking about it, talking about it, and kind of pondering other views about it. So watch out! Don't let your good deeds, do it in publicly just to be admired. I appreciate everybody who's sending me prayers, and I send prayers back. And like I said, I kind of went on this journey just for my own sake, and I, saying it publicly that I'm going to do it helped keep me in check. That I show up every day. Like I was kind of tired today because I had an allergic reaction to something. That's why I came on a little earlier, because I'm probably going to go to bed a little sooner. And so since I had an allergic reaction to something, an ingredient that I ate at lunchtime, I just decided, what, I want to go on a little sooner, maybe hit the bed a little sooner than normal. So look, this is, everybody's here by free will, which is what I like. I'm not out there in the streets trying to spread the message against people's will. I don't mind inviting people, and whoever shows up, and we can kind of have a communion of discussing this. Or right now, I still need to figure that out. I got to get these other things set up to have an open dialogue with everybody. So when someone is in need, when you give to someone in need, don't be hypocrites and broadcast it to everybody that that everybody knows that you're giving money to charity. Give it in private. But don't worry, God sees it all. And I think it's interesting because there's members in our society that they make an insane amount of money, and then they need their name on a building so that it lasts the test of time, and that's the legacy that they want to leave. And I always find that fascinating because, I think that the true test of time, in my opinion, at least, is not some name on a building. It's how many people's lives did you shape in terms of like you just made it just a tad bit better. You don't need to be the person that does all of the things that make their life better. Just if you just contributed just one little grain of sand, or one quarter of 1/100% or something, there's 1,000 people that shape that person's life, and you happen to shape them with just one little bit of knowledge that you came across that they found useful. That should be enough, and I do believe in that saying, to be significant, you only need to matter for a single moment in time. Now, granted, you want to matter in more than one moment in time. I understand that concept too, but my point is, every single moment that every single person is here is an opportunity and a gift to make a lasting impression on everything, and never forget that. And don't downplay your importance in everything that you do in this world. And so, even if nobody recognizes it right now, God sees it all, and God will recognize it. So that's all. I think that's the whole point of this part right here, is that, don't worry about getting it. And I know I joked around. I said I wanted an attaboy from the president publicly on Twitter. I was kind of teasing, but I was just maybe being a little smart ass. But when I was doing something, and he ended up retweeting something. So like I said, I was more of like joking about it, but then I was like, when I found out about that, then I'm like, whoa, I may be a target because of it. So you be careful what you ask for, is the point as well, because when you do something and you're like, oh, it sounds good in theory, but then there's a lot of people that dislike the president that then all of a sudden dislike me. So anyways, you got to pick your poison if you're going to do something like that. Okay, when you pray, don't babble on. Man, I hope I'm not babbling. Good transition. When you pray, don't babble. But anyways, I'm just looking at this version of the Bible. The Our Father is a little different than the Our Father that I traditionally say. So I think this is them taking a little pot shot at the Roman Catholics, maybe, and that's okay. They can take their little pot shots at us. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day, well, here it says, give us today the food we need, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. So, and our Father is our Father who art in heaven, that will be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread instead of food, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So they just changed the word sins to trespassing. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So evil versus the evil one. I'm assuming the evil one in this context is the devil. But in terms of evil, evil is also manifestations of the devil. And we're seeing that all over the place right now. And we're seeing it in Illinois with them passing laws for an amoral agenda, trying to sexualize our children. And it's almost like they're trying to provide cover for all the pedophiles in these various organizations. And same with, there's pedophiles in the Roman Catholic Church. All these people should be treated as war criminals, as far as I'm concerned. When you hurt the most innocent among us and scar those souls and spirits for life, and create a hell on earth for their existence, hopefully we need to pray for victims of this insanity, and help them make sure they get the help that they need. But when you do that, I think it's worse than killing somebody. And I think the penalty should be that of a military tribunal. I do believe that. I think it should be taken out of the court system. Anybody who touches a child in a sexual way should be treated as a criminal, like a war criminal. They declared war on our humanity. And so that's just my stance. So maybe this is Job coming through me here. But, I think I don't think it's a laughing matter. These people are really sick and they're very evil. And these people do not deserve to be forgiven by us. That one's they're going to have to take up with the maker. If you do something that is so criminal, it's so unjust, there is no forgiveness on those, as far as I'm concerned. And just it's no different than someone who tries to kill you. Yes, they try to kill you. You do not have to forgive them. You can forgive them for yourself, but that's a personal choice, and God will understand. Those are one of the rare cases where I think you don't forgive something that was that egregious against you. God's okay with it. But if it's something petty and not anywhere near to that scale, and you're holding a grudge, then you're just being a jerk. So, you might be being a jerk, but you're also holding yourself back in the process. So, okay. So now if you refuse to forgive others, your Father will not forgive you. That's why I think that language, if I was writing it, so you had me back then writing this down, I would have probably written it with a couple little caveats. I'd say item number A that's exempt from this is you touch a kid, you're done. So you're going right to the firing line. I know they didn't have a firing line back there, but I do believe that these people need to be brought to very, very harsh justice. Okay. And when you fast, don't make it obvious, when you look disheveled and so forth. Look, I like to look disheveled maybe just because it's my look. No, I'm just saying. Anyways, I'm trying to get a haircut, but people are always busy now with all this limited capacity, stuff going on. I don't want to say it and get this video taken down. Don't store up treasures on earth where moths can eat and rust destroys them. Focus on your treasures in heaven. Okay. And so once again, it goes back to what my dad said when he was 89, dying on his deathbed. I can't believe I have to leave already. It just feels like I got here. I got to tell you, if you're 70 years old, 80 years old, and you have $1 billion and you're given a choice between that $1 billion or being 20 and you got another 50 years of runway, I think most people will be like, I don't need the money. I can't eat more than everybody else. I'm not drinking any more stuff than anybody else. And it's just one of those things where, we underappreciate the value of our time as we go through the early part of our life cycle because of all these distractions. And I think that's what this part is about. Don't worry about all these material things. Focus on the memories. Those are the true treasures you will take with you, that you'll take with you when you leave this earth. When you reconnect with God on a spiritual level, you're going to take all those experiences, and maybe you don't take them. Maybe it just kind of goes in the repository, because there is a school of thought that thinks, if you're hanging on to things in this world and you don't want to let go, then, when it's being taken away from you, you'll feel like your life is being torn apart, and that those are devils that are ripping at your soul. But if you free yourself of all the physical attachments and memories, I don't know if memories apply, it might just be physical things and so forth, then everything that's being pulled away from you is actually, you'll view them as angels, and then, you're in bliss because you're shedding all this physical part of our being. And so, it just depends on which way you live your life, which way you want to go, half full or half empty. And so that's what comes to mind when I read this piece. And then I love this part because I was talking about how people focus on gems and then realizing that every single human being has the gem of sight. And in here it says, your eye is like a lamp that provides light for your body. When your eye is healthy, your whole body is filled with light. But when your eye is unhealthy, your whole body is filled with darkness. And it's like we take it for granted that people like are so impressed with jewels that people wear. And I understand that, the status stuff, but it's like we all take for granted that we all have this incredible, amazing gift of vision. There's some people that that have their vision impaired, and thank goodness that there's other human beings developing technology to solve blindness. There's microchips that can do that now. It's pretty amazing stuff. But it just goes to show you, if everybody had diamonds, it's almost like, who cares, right? But the scarcity of everybody not having diamonds makes them like more, people crave them more. And as human beings, it should be like, wait a second, we all have something worth 100, 1,000. How many diamonds would you want to trade off for one of your eyes? That's a good question. I would like to ask some people. Say, hey, how many diamonds you need? How many carats? You want 1,000 carats? 10,000? What's your number? And I'm going to tell you right here and right now, I do not have a number of diamonds that you can ever give me that I will willingly give up one of my eyeballs. So it's just not happening. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not doing it. And I think people that sell off part of their body, I understand this like morality. Oh, well, you can sell your eyeball and feed your family and feed a bunch of people, Bobby. But if you can pay off the national debt, if you sold off your eyeball, that's all crap. Those types of arguments, because we are a creation of God. And so if God created us, the biggest sign of disrespect is to literally try to make that argument. So that's why it's never happening. But anyways, I just want to mention that. The other thing, no one can serve two masters, for you can hate one and love the other. You'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money. So this goes back to this whole money argument. Money is supposed to be a store of your energy, of your, you put in work, and then you don't want to spend what you put in for that work right away. So then you get a claim for it in the form of money. And, but if you just start to, in a sense, value what you created with your work, it's almost like you're idolizing yourself. When you care more about your money, it's almost as though you're more impressed with yourself than you should be. And I think that's the message that I take from this. And, you should not be more impressed with yourself, Todd, I think is the key takeaway from this. You should never be more impressed by something that you create in this world that's stored in money. So you do the work, you do the labor, you get some money, and you're like, wow, look at how important I am for what I have accumulated. And it's kind of like, well, that's nice. However, God created the air, the system of the air you're breathing, and the food and the environment, and the fact that your mom was here before you, and everything else that you experience. So if you think you want to put that on parity, you got another thing coming. So I'm sorry I'm laughing so much, because when I read this stuff, and I did post today on Telegram that I do believe that we should be teaching this at school. The Bible. They're teaching this satanic dogma that they've passed down to kids in our school for years, and so they kind of open the door. As far as I'm concerned, their communist agenda is a form of religion. It's Satanism, and wrapped up in these policies. And so since they're teaching the Satanism, while we try to repeal this and work on it, we should go full steam ahead to get the Bible, which I believe is the greatest book of lessons for how to live your life that's ever been written. Anyways, I think that would be I think that's what we should really do. If we want to take this country back, we should all mobilize and do that. Yeah, they do not teach our children proper math. Yeah, we got a lot of issues, guys. So we're gonna have to work on. We got a lot to work on. So let's go to the next thing. We're going to go to Psalm 7. Holy cow, 37 minutes already. I'm sorry, folks. I get talking and it just kind of keeps going. I come to you for protection, O Lord, my God. Save me from my persecutors. Rescue me. If you don't, they will maul me like a lion, tearing me to pieces, with no one to rescue me. Oh, my Lord, I have done wrong, or I'm guilty of injustice. If I have betrayed a friend or plundered my enemy without cause, then let my enemies capture me. Let them trample me into the ground and drag my honor into the dust. And so I'm going to read over a couple more of these real quick. Oh, arise, O Lord, in anger. Stand up against the fury of my enemies. Wake up, my God, and bring justice. Gather the nations before you. Rule over them on high. The Lord judges the nations. Declare me righteous, O Lord, for I am innocent, O Most High. End the evil of those who are wicked and defend the righteous. For you look deep within the mind and heart, O righteous God. God is my shield, saving those whose hearts are true and right. God is an honest judge. He is angry and with the wicked every day. So it kind of goes back to what we were saying. God sees all. God is going to make sure that if there's something that needs to be taken care of, give it up to God to take care of it. It's above our pay grade. I'm trying really hard, folks. I sometimes I'm a little harsh and critical of people in the political arena that I despise, for them being evil or them misleading or using deception, or being fraudsters or hypocrites, and trying to do it with a little more kindness. Maybe you're trying to expose it, but I think when it's so blatant, I get tired of the fact that it's happening, and nobody's calling it out because we have a broken press. We have a lot of people that are afraid to speak what they know is wrong. And sometimes I feel like I should speak, and I don't mind being attacked if I do so, because I think that the bigger message is more important, that people stop and think about, what is Bobby saying? Why is he saying it? And why does he want to die on that hill? Making that kind of claim or doing something. And so what I would say is, please investigate anybody running for office on your own. Do the work. Find all the reasons they shouldn't be liked, even if you like them. Okay. I've been deceived plenty of times over my life now, with regards to voting for the wrong people, past presidents, like Bush and the traitor McCain. I voted for these guys. McCain fortunately didn't get in there, but he was a traitor. And it sucks because I was intellectually lazy. I kind of voted the brand. I'm like, oh, he's the pick for the GOP. He must be good. That's insane. We all need to stop doing that. We need to dig under the hood, find out who these people are, find out all their skeletons, because the press isn't doing it. So we need to investigate all these people. And so I think that we need to have a more open sourced political process where if you want to run for office, I'm going to give everybody my baggage, luggage. I don't care. I mentioned I've been divorced. I was married 15 years. I'm kind of like putting it all out there so that then if they want to bring it back and say, hey, look at Bobby was divorced. He kept that from us. It's like, no, I didn't. Go look at the videotape. I think if we had more open candor about who each person was and what path they lived in their life, I think people would be more. I think we'd get a different crop of leaders than we currently have, and I do think that crop would probably be more effective than what we have. So, anyways, if a person does not repent, God will sharpen his sword. He will bend and string his bow. He will prepare the deadly weapons and shoot his flaming arrows. The wicked conceive evil. They are pregnant with trouble and give birth to lies. They dig a deep pit to trap others, then fall into it themselves. The trouble they make for others backfires on them. The violence they plan falls on their own heads. I will thank the Lord because he is just. I will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. And, my child, what I say and treasure my commands. Tune your ears to wisdom and concentrate on understanding. Cry out for insight and ask for understanding. Search for them as you would for silver. Seek them like hidden treasures. Then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord, and you will gain the knowledge of God. And so I do believe that the knowledge of God is available to everybody through prayer. I really do. And I do believe that all the knowledge lies within. And I know that some people think I'm a little goofy, and that's okay. I think every single living cell in our body, our DNA, contains all the wisdom of the universe. All that genetic code that we can't explain, that only 8% is responsible for our body, and then there's 92% or something they can't really explain. I think that's all the knowledge. It's a giant puzzle. And our DNA, when it creates our body, that God that helped create us in this form, it forms our brain. Our brain is what actually deciphers all this code that's in our body in every single cell. And it's brilliant because you can transfer all the knowledge of the universe into each of our cells. And then if you think about this constant, hey, that's right, the botanist Jen. Hey, Angie, why is that coming up? I have it right here. Take a look. The botanist, you see it? I don't know. How'd you know about that, Angie? I'm just having a little bit right here. See? My Trump 45 glass. I like my gin. Anyways, I got off on that tangent because I just saw that. I'm like, somehow Angie got a little signal. Maybe it reflected off my eye from the bottle onto the screen. Anyways, but I do think that this whole part here with regards to Proverbs, that if you seek the knowledge, you'll get it because it's been there the entire time. Now we can use different tools in the physical world to also tap into this knowledge and speed up the process, and you can do that through choosing good books to read. I think you can heighten that by reading good books aloud so that you can hear the words and not just read them. And so this whole thing with the Bible for me is I actually read it, and then I also listen to it through the app, which is cool. You could put it at a faster speed. And then when you do that, you hear it, you see it, and now this whole process of me speaking this is helping. And I would encourage everybody out there, if you have some family and friends, try to set up a small group or set up your own YouTube channel as well and say, you know what, I want to talk about my interpretation of this. And I think the more the merrier. I think we all have an interpretation and a story to tell. I appreciate everybody who's taken the time to listen to my interpretation of what I take away from the Bible. But I think that we should all be doing that, in smaller groups and in different, maybe multiple groups. And I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think it'll help bind us together more as a people as well as a nation. So with that, I've been going for 46 minutes, which is a little longer than usual, I guess. Thank you, everybody, for joining. God bless you. God bless your family and friends. May God continue to bless the greatest nation in the history of the world. And may peace be with you. And if you don't have peace, I sure hope you find it soon. And I'll be praying for you to find it. So thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.